I guess I'm live. All right. Okay. Okay. Hi, everyone. Good evening, everybody. This is Raoul here from Noble Sky International. I just got scratched by a cat who was playing. I was playing with my cat earlier, and it's kind of like play bite me and scratch. It's quite painful. All right. So I am. How's everyone doing on this fine Friday evening? I've been on and off on live for the last few weeks because been catching up with a lot of work for myself, for the team, for my bunch of investors that we work with. Being stayed up very late at night. In fact, almost on every night we've been trying to work on and sorting things out in the US because there's been quite a fair bit of movement the last few weeks. And we had some of our crew member who were on unemployment coming back to work. And they coming back a bit early. Some of them ending it by this month. So I think next month. It depends on when they got their unemployment. And there's a lot of movement. What I mean by that is that some of the properties that we have recently only received offers like in a span of a month. So because of what I'm going to explain in a short while. Okay, so I hope everyone's doing great, doing well today on a nice Friday evening. And if you're live, you're live. Sorry, I'm not a natural speaker. Just in case some of you are wondering why am I talking like as if I never had training. No, although I might have done quite a fair bit of live, but I'm never actually I'm not really a natural in public speaking. I do fumble a lot. I do slur a lot. I have a lot of my filler words. And that's just myself. I never exactly enjoy talking in public too much. I rather be away from the public eye, but unfortunately sometimes I have to be in public. I have to be front facing to explain about what's going on in the US and so on and so forth. Okay, so if you're live, if you're joining me live now, drop me a comment. I'd like to hear from you. Let me know if you're watching this and give me a heart. I just saw a heart shape. Okay, all right. Give me a like or something. Like, share, whatever that you feel is beneficial. That will just, it's free, right? It's not exactly asking for or costing money. Maybe some of you, in case I don't want to share off post because people might think I'm a geek or something else. It's up to you. But I hope you can maybe give me a nice like or share this particular live video. Angle Dikria. I'm not so sure where you're from. Dikria, if you can let me know where you're from, I'll be more than happy to find out. Okay, so this is Dikria. Okay, never mind. Now, guys, the topic that we're going to talk about today is a little more relatable to those of you who's looking at investing in the States and investing in the US. Miracle. Okay. The idea is to ensure that we make investing in the US as easy and seamless as possible. Okay. And I want to show you and explain to you how easy it is from a perspective of a foreigner. Okay, so it's been quite a nice ride in the US market, especially. However, it's a bit distorted. I think some of you have already heard me say that quite a few times. The stock market is rarely like crazy. People are making money left, right, center from the stock market, and the property market, in fact, is also very strong. However, there is a big caveat there. It has not factored in the unemployment, the forbearance that had happened for the last year or so. Okay, for about last 6-7 months. Okay, there were forbearance, meaning that the homeowner did not pay their mortgage, so they request the bank to give them forbearance to push their loan to the end. And a lot of those people who were on unemployment, they actually got themselves they save their money rather than pay off their mortgage requirements, mortgage repayment every month that they have to pay. They didn't pay. They rather save their money, so that's why there was a high savings rate in the US, very unlike America. Okay, so this is where I realized that um, a lot of whatever is happening in the news, all the positive news, might not reflect what will exactly happen in 6 months time down the road or next year, when all those unemployment and all those forbearance finally hit the market. Okay, so it is something to be cautious about, and this is actually where experienced investors look at this as an opportunity. Okay, so let me just show you something here. Right, so want to share you some of the news that I have. Okay. Right, so this is the news from Housing Wire. If you read the news, okay, um, the thing to take note of is that there's a lot of positive real estate news for the last week or so. Okay, so they say property prices are increasing, which is true, and it is at the same time or allowing sellers. It is a seller's market now, whereby people are able to sell property price at a good at a good amount, and that's why there will be some fix and flip experts, gurus coming on board, telling you now is the right time to fix and flip properties. Okay, so which is from whatever is happening in the news, people will realize, hey, actually yes. Okay, now what exactly is happening is the same thing that I have mentioned before. Okay, and now they're even saying that the market for housing, it will correlate directly with the economy's resilience. Okay, now the economy took a hard hit and government took a hard hit, but not in all sectors of the economy. There's something you have to take note. Tech companies are largely unaffected. In fact, they have thrived during this pandemic, during the recent pandemic. What has been affected mainly were tourism, F&B, right? Okay, travel. These were the main one that were really affected. Then online services like tech, they are very much in demand, and in fact, even things like entertainment online, that they went online to have entertainment, watch entertainment, they are very much in demand because people are just locked at home. Gaming it's like wow, people are making a lot of money from gaming. The gaming industry is doing very, very well. Then industries such as like food, like necessities, right? These are necessities. They survive very, very well because of the fact that people still require food to eat, and shelter. Requiring shelter above your head is where we are the business that we are in. It's also a requirement that people cannot live without. And when you have all this kind of news that you read, whereby there's a lot of doom and gloom, and people saying that they're predicting the end of America, the end of the world economy, the start of a new normal. There is a new normal, I guess. But as I said before many times, it is important that we look in between and read in between the lines. Okay, don't be too quick to be too affected by the headlines. That's not something that we should do. Okay, all right. So housing market performance is doing very well, and the home sales for the month of June has jumped 21% from May. So in fact, there is a lot of activity buying and selling. Okay, and we want to catch in on the wave now. So we're putting a lot more properties on the market. Okay, and rushing some of the flips so that we can start selling them to the market. Why is this happening? Because homeowners are they're having access to very cheap financing. There you go. So mortgage rates have tumbled, right, to a record low of 2.98%. And this was just last week. And when the record for mortgages is as low as less than 3, it allows Americans to buy properties using very cheap financing. It's like free money for them. And they're able to just put as low as 3.5% down payment, or 3% down payment, depends on where some there are even some loan programs as zero down payment. Okay, depends on their profile. So the mortgages and then are just so cheap that it's making a lot of people realize, hey, if I don't cash in now and buy the property at the current rate, I will never be able to get a much cheaper financing in the future. Okay, so they are rushing in to buy more properties now. Big banks, whenever, as I said before, whenever people buy a property using mortgage, the bank don't keep the mortgages in hand. They create that into a security, and they trade that mortgage as a mortgage-backed security into the secondary market with the other banks. All right, so this becomes like a very valuable piece of investment for the banks. So the biggest buyer of that security, MBS, mortgage-backed security, is the federal government. So federal government buys a lot of all this mortgage-backed security. They're buying a lot of it. And in fact, it's not just them. Institutional buyers are buying them as well. Institutional buyers, they're just finding something a lot less volatile than the stock market. When the stock market is at an all-time high, which is what you can see here, okay, all right, they're preparing for the drop, right? So this stock market is an all-time high. It costs a lot of safe investors, risk-averse investors, to move away. Maybe they will cash out from their positions in the stock market. Okay, they are looking at something a lot safer, like as low as 2%, 3% returns on the billions they have invested in the stock market. So they just want to be able to reallocate wherever their current investment is into something a lot less volatile, a lot more safe. So mortgage-backed security is one of them. Okay, and the Fed buying it a lot will only cause a lot more institutional buyers to join in the fray as well. So they're buying a lot and they're demanding a lot of all these mortgage-backed securities. So the banks realize there's a big demand for that, and the banks would open up and underwrite more loans, more mortgages for homeowners in the future. Okay, so this is exactly what's happening, right? So, and when banks underwrite more mortgages, means that they want to attract more people to come in to take their loan. So they are willing to lower down the interest rate. When they lower down the interest rate, people, hey, this is a lot cheaper, I'm going to go with this bank. So when they go with that bank, they buy the property using that bank. Maybe in the future we might even see it as low as 2%. I don't know. Okay, so it's becoming very cheap. Okay, and then the bank underwrites a loan, give out the loan for the property, and then the piece of mortgage that they have, they sell it to the secondary market. Okay, they trade it as mortgage-backed security. So the other thing I want to say is this: if you read the news, okay, things like they are saying here, one of the most vulnerable market of Las Vegas, which I covered in the last video, because of the high concentration of construction and leisure and hospitality, because they are very high tourism area, right? Okay, Las Vegas is considered as the most vulnerable city in the US currently. Miami, Detroit, San Diego, right behind them. Okay, but okay, if you read another news just a few days later, what I want to show you is this. Not this one, Coastal City. So what they're saying is that before that, they were saying a very resilient city like Washington, New York City, and San Francisco are very resilient. Okay, and then Las Vegas is not so resilient and very vulnerable. But then on July 20th, 2020, by Marianne, then just 3 days later, there's another article from the same company by another person saying that now there's a major outflow of people from New York, San Francisco, and Washington, D.C. as well. Okay, they are leaving this metropolitan area and moving into places like Las Vegas. Okay, they are moving to places like Las Vegas, Austin, Atlanta. So sometimes you might get confused reading so much of this news. You're like wondering, what exactly are all these experts telling me? Maybe you might label me as one of them, right? You're like, what exactly are all these people telling me? Do I invest or do I invest in Vegas, or do I don't invest in Vegas? Do I enter now or do I don't enter now? What is going on? Because it's very confusing to a lot of us when you have all these mixed signals from the experts, right? Then you just read more and more, and you realize it's getting more confusing. You don't know whether when's a good time to enter, when's not a good time to enter. Well, I will say this, okay? Now it's a seller's market, all right? So the profits of home sale is climbing. So what I would say is this: always look at entering at that point in time. Never ever entering at market value. That is something I've been saying for the longest time. There's something I have been preaching to a lot of potential investors, that you never ever try to buy property at market value. When you try to buy property at market value, the issue is when the property price crash, you are going to be affected. When you're not buying a property market value, let's say paying only 30, 40, 50% of the value, if it crashed from the 100% down maybe to 10, 90% or something like that. Okay, you are still insulated from the price movement of the market. So this is something that I have explained several times, and to a lot of investors. So we will never try to let you enter a property at market value. Okay. Now, who will pay market value for a property? Homeowners. Homeowners pay market value for the property because they intend to live in that property. They want to live there. They want to raise a family in that house. Okay. That's where they intend to have their future in. So when you look at homeowners, now homeowners is a different market altogether because they're just buying property to live in, right? For us, we are investors. We intend to make money. So if you want to make money, you have to enter and buy those properties at a lower price. When you buy those properties at a lower price, only then will you stand to make some money from it. Never ever try, like how locally what happens is people pay market value for property, okay, and they're hoping for appreciation. If you attempt that in America, you can get hurt. You do not try that in a very mature market like the US. Singapore is considered a mature market already. So do not try that. Maybe you can try it in a developing country. Malaysia, you can try it, okay, of course, because there's a lot of room for upside, okay. Then Indonesia as well. But in Singapore, the US, we are a very highly mature market. If you pay property at that price, okay, condo, there have been a lot of people, investors who bought property at market price. They sell it at a loss 10 years later, 5 years later, because the property price didn't appreciate. They paid too much for it when they bought it at first. So never ever do that, and always be careful. Okay, so that's what some of the things I want to explain. Now I'm going to share with you my slide. Let me share with you another slide. Okay, on what we want to talk about today. This is very quick and without all the hassle. How do you buy US property? Okay, it is a lot less daunting than many people think it is, but it can be very, very complicated if you just buy it on your own at the first attempt. Never do that. Okay, you need someone to hold your hand, guys. You need an expert to show you the way. But essentially, if I cut through all the fluff, it is actually very, very easy. Okay, what do you need? What you need is just money. Okay, you need money, definitely. I'm not going to pay for you. All right, you need money, or you need maybe some form of loan. If you can get some form of leverage, if they can loan you money, then some banks will loan money to homeowners, to investors from overseas. They would, okay, they have to profile you first. Then you need a US registered company, or maybe you don't want to use a US registered company, just use yourself. Okay, your own self to buy the property. You can take title to the property in the US in your own name without needing to be a US citizen or PR in the US itself. Okay, it's possible. All right, but it's not advisable. I never recommend it. All right, there are some regulations in the US that you have to abide by. Okay, US registered company is a lot more less hassle, in my opinion. Okay, there are some forms to fill up. Okay, and then as a US, when you invest through a corporation in the US to flip, for example, there are tax strategies that you can implement for yourself without being worried about withholding tax. Okay, there's something for you to think of. Then you need the property, the targeted property that you want to buy. That's it. Okay, you need these three. Okay, you need the money, you need to set up a company or just yourself, and find a property. Go to Zillow.com, go to your favorite area in the US, maybe LA, find the nicest property, talk to a realtor selling it, buy it. That's it. You don't even need to fly there. That's all. Okay, you can sign everything online. Sometimes they might ask you to notarize your documents. I don't think they will need that now. Okay, but if they say you need to notarize, okay, you can go online, notarycam.com, and notarize the document, or you can go to the US Embassy. They pay you $50, which is a lot more hassle. There's a lot more hassle going to the US Embassy, because US Embassy will surrender your phone, blah blah blah. Got COVID-19, they will be more wary. So just do it online. Okay, you can just go and notarize the document online. Okay, that's all you need. Okay, but of course there are more to this than meets the eye, right? You need to ensure that you do things properly. Okay, so some of the things you have to do, okay, properly is this. First, you register your corporation, your company that we will always advise investor. There are, if you read online, there are 3 states in the US that a lot of people might be familiar with, mainly Delaware, Nevada, and Wyoming. There's another state, New Mexico, which is another area that people like to set up a company in, but mainly Americans. But for foreigners, you're very familiar with Delaware, okay? And the other one you might be familiar with Nevada. Wyoming, not so popular, but Wyoming is where we choose to set up our corporation in? Let me explain why. If you want to invest in the US, okay, you want to set up a business because you want to raise venture capital funding, you want to get investor, you are running a business, right? A real business selling goods or services. Now, that is the time you should set up your corporation in the state of Delaware. The reason being, a lot of all these big US corporation, all the Silicon Valley company, they're all registered in Delaware because Delaware has this court called a Chancery Court, where they have a court where the judges are well trained in the world of business and corporate law. Okay, so when you have when you're in any problem with business whatsoever, okay, so you would be bringing your litigation to the Chancery Court in Delaware. So the judge, who's very well trained in the world of corporate law, okay, would be the one presiding over your case. So it makes things a lot safer for business owner, big business owners. So they want a court, a place whereby they're well taken care of in terms of corporate law. Okay, and this is where a lot of businesses and people who run who has a business selling product or services overseas, even they set up their business in Delaware. However, in the world of real estate, you don't exactly require that. It's not much, because real estate is just a matter of buying, selling property, which is very straightforward, or owning the property for rental income. All right, those two, and you don't need a Chancery Court to help you in case anything happens with your business. Wyoming State is a lot more straightforward, a lot easier for you to set up the company in, for you to register in, for you to maintain every year, and they are so like godsend and a lot cheaper than Delaware and Nevada combined. Nevada is expensive. A lot of people go to Nevada, but I don't set up in Nevada anymore. Just go and set up all our corporations for my investors in the state of Wyoming. It's a lot easier, okay, and it's less hassle. So Wyoming State is where we enter and register our holding corporation. In this case, register your holding corp. Okay, we enter in Wyoming. Next, you got to set up your US bank. Not many banks in the US will allow you to set up and register an account online. No way, not many. Okay, we give you a tip right now. You can go online to transferwise.com and apply for a bank account for your business. You can try that. Sometimes they will approve, sometimes they don't. Whether they approve or not is up to them. It's not up to me. Okay, all right. So we are able to work with a bank that can help you register an actual bank account, because in the US, and for TransferWise, the bank account for corporate is not exactly an actual bank account, it's a prepaid account. So it's a bit different. So you got to take note of that. Okay, it's a prepaid account. It's not exactly a checking account, it's a prepaid account. Okay, and there's no savings account with TransferWise. But it does function like a regular account, so you can still cheat your way around it, all right? However, if you want to set up a bank account with Chase, Bank of America, or Wells Fargo, that's almost near impossible for you to set it up now online. And they will always require you to walk into the branch. Now, I hope maybe COVID-19 make them think twice. Okay, maybe it's time for them to set up an account online even for foreigners. But the last I checked, they became a lot more strict in granting online application for bank account. Last time they were able to, but now apparently they have. Before I left, as of last year, 2019, they scrapped the ability to do so. Okay, then you got to spot the right property. There's plenty of property you can buy. Zillow.com, Realtor.com in the US, plenty. All ready-made, beautifully designed, okay? You can even do virtual 3D tour online, or someone will just bring their phone and walk all around. The realtor mainly will bring the phone and walk all around the house, okay, show you the virtual tour of the house that you're intending to buy. So this is something that people now have adapted to technology to buy their house. They don't even need to step foot on the ground to buy that property. So you got to spot the right property. Go through it. Buy something that you want. Whatever fits your fancy, go and attempt and buy that. Okay, hopefully it meets your budget. Okay, then acquire it. That's all right. Talk to the agent. I'm interested in buying that. The agent most likely will ask you for proof of funds. A proof of funds is required, meaning that you have to print out your bank statement with the balance being shown, how much you have in the bank account, to show that you can afford to buy the house. And then, okay, most of the time, okay, they will only do the virtual tour if you give them a proof of fund first. Sometimes they don't want to waste their time, okay, so they will ask you for that proof of funds before they entertain you, especially not knowing that you're a foreigner. They will ask that first, Okay, most of the time they will do that. So once you show them I have money, please entertain me, then they will bring you on the tour. And then if you like it, tell them I want to acquire the property. They will prepare the paperwork. It's super easy. The paperwork can be done in like 15 minutes or less than half an hour. Okay, it's not how complicated. It can be done. Okay. Then if the property needs some form of rehab, you rehab it. If you don't need it, okay, maybe you furnish the property with furnitures or whatever if you want to. Okay, so that's step number 5. There's you can go to this particular website called Zillow.com. They have a lot of home improvement section whereby you can find people who help to paint the house, repair, remodel the house if it requires that kind of level of work. Then I use homeadvisor.com to find all my remodeling works, contractors on the ground that we work with. We want to work with licensed, reputable contractors. So these are the people you want to work with. Fix up the house. Make sure you get several quotes so that you know exactly how much it costs on average for that house. And then you decide who you want to work with. Okay. Then you can choose to sell or rent the property. Now, if you choose to live in the property, make sure there's no COVID. Okay. So if you want to sell the property, you can put it up on the market, back on the market. Make sure you buy cheaper in the first place. Okay. Don't buy market value then hoping to sell at same price or 10%. Doesn't make sense. Right. Make sure when you buy it cheap. So when you sell it for profit, hopefully. Or if you want, you can choose to rent it out. Rent out the property. You must put in a property manager. Use technology. There's a lot of property apps, property management software online that you can use to manage that property of yours. So there's something for you to take note. Okay. Then you rent out the property, collect the rent. Okay. Hopefully you have your bank account set up by then. If not, you can fall back on transferwise.com, whereby you can set up a business account with them. And last but not least, you rinse and repeat. Okay. If you did not sell a property, but you rent out the property, what you should do is to refinance the property after at least 6 months of rental seasoning. Okay. Minimum 6 months of rental seasoning. You season out the rental for a while. Then you cash out up to 70% of the market value for the property. Make sure the amount, the rental amount is 50% more. Okay. It's at least twice. It is twice the amount of loan repayment you have to pay back to the bank. Okay, when you do a cash out refinance. So it's something to take note of. In other words, if your rent is $1,000 a month that you get, and then you want to refinance, whatever loan to value you want to pull out is fine, as long as the monthly that you pay back to the bank is not more than $500. It's like a rule of thumb for you to take note of. Okay, so that's something important to take note. So you should always monitor that. So if you need to reduce your loan to value from 70 to 60, so be it, as long as it doesn't hit more than 50%. Okay, so this is something very important. So at least you pull out your money back and then buy the next property. All right, so that's about all I have for the slides. It's super simple, super easy, and I am who is Dikria? All right, thank you so much, free counting leader. What are you talking about? All right, so I am always on the news online to ensure that whatever we buy, I'm plugged into the market to what exactly is happening. So this is something that I've been doing day in, day out, on a daily basis, on a nightly basis, always explaining and talking to investors, letting them know what's going on. Okay, so if any of you feel that you're a bit unsure about what's happening, okay, if you need any of my insight or input, I'll be more than happy to give it to you. And I am here always. You can just reach out to us on our Facebook page or Noble Sky International, or join our group, okay, which is right down there. Okay, the group, I don't know, whatever. Fana can just drop the link to the group. You just join our group, US Real Estate Investing Success for Foreigners. I think that's the name of the group that we have. So I am more than happy to answer any questions you might have. Post it out to me. Let me know. Okay, and we will be more than I want to have a chat. So if any of you, if you want to do an online meeting with me, we can always reach out to us, and then we send you a link to do an online meeting if you need to talk, okay, and find out, okay, about what we do, or about some questions, some concerns that you might have, anything that you're having, some burning questions that you want to have it addressed. Reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to answer them. Okay. So that's about it I have for today. If there's no further question from anybody, and that's all that we have, I want to wish you all a great weekend, and please take care, and stay safe. I know the numbers is dwindling, except for the US. They're going reverse. Our numbers are getting lesser and lesser. So just stay safe, be safe, take care, and have a good night. And take care, everyone. Cheers.